we will do secant for this next example, specifically y equals 4 secant of 1/2 x. So we're going to rewrite this first as the reciprocal function of secant is cosine. So when I write the reciprocal, I just put 1 over and replace the function secant with cosine. And all the other values remain the same. So we're going to focus in on the cosine function and and all the adjustments and transformations done to that function before we actually graph the secant function. So those are going to give us our 5 key points. So here our amplitude is 4. And then to figure out the period, there's no reflections because 4 is positive. Our period is typically 2 pi. When I divide that by 1/2, I get 4 pi. So on my graph to the right, we're going to come up with the key points for cosine and graph that based off of the amplitude of 4. So I'm going to count by 2s. This is 4. This is -4. So my highs and lows are going to be achieved at 4 and -4. And then my period is 4 pi. So if I wanted to fit 2 cycles here, I'd have 8 pi as the end of the second cycle. And then from there, we're going to divide each cycle into 4s. So if I cut 4 pi in half, that's 2 pi. If I cut 2 pi in half, that's 1 pi. So 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi, 5 pi, 6 pi, and then 7 pi, 8 pi. And then with the cosine function, you start off at the high value, and it looks like a V, so to complete one cycle. So what we're going to do is start off at 4. The amplitude is 4 here. Then we're going to hit our x-intercept, our low point, our x-intercept, our high point, and then continue with that trend for a second cycle. And then recall that we're not really graphing cosine here, but graphing 4 secant of 1/2 x. So now we go through and we put vertical asymptotes through all the zeros. And then from there, the function itself it will go through the high-low points of 4 and -4. And then we use the vertical asymptotes to guide us to draw our concave up, concave down branches. So by the time I complete 2 cycles, it technically should have a concave up, concave down for each one of the cycles. So again, if you're looking at a cycle, this would be one cycle, this would be another cycle. So we did just a little bit more than 2 cycles.